Okay, good morning, everyone. B. Gonzalez, Chair of the Joint Authority and Canal Corporation Governance Committee. Welcome to our meeting this morning. Joining us today from the board, we have our chair, Don Canal, Tracy McGibbon, Dennis Trainer, and Mr. Balboni will be joining us shortly. I want to welcome all of the staff who are present, and I have to tell you, it was quite the challenge getting through all of those policy documents, but I did it. So thank you very much. And I just want to, for the record, state that this is a scheduled committee meeting, which has been duly noticed and as required by the open meetings law. So with that, let me call the Joint Authority and Canal Governance Committee meeting to order. Are there any members of the committee who have amendments to the proposed agenda?
No.
No.
Happy
I'll move it.
to move the agenda.
Thank you. We
I
have a
second.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
right. Motion carries. Next, we're up to the first portion of this meeting will be held in executive session. I'm going to seek a motion to conduct an executive session to discuss the financial and credit history of a particular corporation pursuant to Public Officers Law 105F. So may I have a,
So moved.
Second.
thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Motion carries. So we're off to executive session.
We're live.
Okay,
B, I'll move that we resume the meeting in open session.
Thank you.
I'll second that motion, John.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Well, hello, sir. How are you?
Good, good.
So we have a motion and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Yeah, let me state that no votes were taken during the executive session. So we are now ready for discussion agenda item 4A, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Foundational Pillar Update. Nancy, you and your team, you're up.
Hello. Okay. Good morning, everyone.
All right.
I'm Nancy Harvey, the Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer for NYPA and Canals. Let me start by saying trustees, EMC, colleagues, and members of the public, thank you for the opportunity to present to you today an update on the DEI at NYPA and Canals. As you know, diversity, equity, and inclusion is creating an inclusive culture as part of the Vision 2030 foundational pillar. But before we get into the data and tactics, I want to share with you one experience that sums this all up. Building an inclusive culture looks like, sorry, time to straighten my shirt. Building an inclusive culture looks like gathering our employees for professional development and training, which are great opportunities to hear from them directly. But in January, we hosted our EMC and Employee Resource Group leaders to share a strategic update on each of the 6 ERGs. One of our ERG leaders, who's a mid-level manager, was thrilled to tell me at the close of the program what it meant to them that the EMC were present in its entirety and asked questions. The theme of the feedback was they were fully engaged the whole time. This is progress. Based on our DEI commitment, we want to attract the best and the brightest, and we want them to feel seen and that they belong here. We're doing the work arm in arm with our colleagues, and we know that leadership is committed, and we know that senior managers are committed. Across the organization, we are creating a culture at NYPA and Canals where everyone contributes and everyone belongs. Ultimately, our goal is to establish NYPA and Canals as a leader in DE&I, including developing an internal culture of inclusion, a diverse supply chain, and a commitment to environmental justice. So today I want to start by giving you a brief update on Tactic A. And then you'll hear from my colleagues leading the effort around supply diversity, which is Tactic B, and environmental justice, which is Tactic C. Our team in the Office of Civil Rights and Inclusion, along with our partners in HR and other centers of excellence across the organization, are implementing programs to improve and accelerate the adoption and realization of diversity, equity, and inclusion priorities. OCRI addresses and responds to the dimensions of DEI. So let's just refresh how we define things, because it's been a minute, right? Diversity is who is represented in the workplace. Equity is how we're ensuring equality of opportunity. And inclusion is how the workforce is experiencing the workplace. In addition to training and oversight of EEO programs, OCRI also offers all employees professional development and access to build community in one of our 6 employee resource groups. We could go to the next slide, please. So we're creating an organization that is good for all. We're focused on building. We're building an inclusive culture that starts with shifting the mindset to understand the competencies and clarify the career opportunities for everyone. We've got plenty of engineers, so we've been challenged to think about what's really required beyond education to support changing mindsets. For existing employees, we've included a new DEI competency in the annual performance review process to help everyone understand the expectations to support an inclusive culture. We've included DEI foundation training for new hires, so employees understand our values and expectations, as well as how they are supported internally. We cover everything from microaggressions to microadvantages to enable them to participate in a more inclusive culture. And we also make sure to cover where to go if you have an issue and the required EEO content. This way, they understand that we take DEI seriously. So we're building the pipeline and representation. We want to be able to source internal talent and retain more of the people we are attracting and developing. So we've implemented job architecture across the organization to provide consistency and transparency on job requirements and skills. In 2023, we will identify the focused competencies and career path options needed for current and future roles. Our end goal is to improve work engagement and career development and inspire conversations between employees and managers on career growth and experiences. So we've piloted the career path in technology that's bringing this life to work. The employee can see where they are now and what career path options are available to them and what skills they need to develop to get there. We continue to have DEI nudges in the recruiting process. We used to refer to that as challenging bias. We have explicit discussions with our hiring managers at the very beginning of the recruiting process to ensure that we are targeting broader talent pools, leaning on a diverse slate of panelists for interviews, providing guidance on creating consistent interview questions, and incorporating best practices from the select trainings that all people managers went through in order to mitigate bias in recruiting. So we're building DEI in accountability. We're building the muscle to be open to uncomfortable conversations. We have goals around increasing representation, building management and staff capability, creating an inclusive culture, and improving transparency and accountability in policies and programs. All of this starts with having access to the right information. Building DEI into professional development is the 4th pillar that you see here. We're developing leaders from traditionally underrepresented populations. In 2022, 120 women attended the Women in Power ERG's Women's Leadership Summit. Already, we're launching cohorts of the Pathways program Connected Leaders Academy and Women's Accelerator Program for this year. And I should mention, we celebrated 61 graduates from these programs in 2022. The graduation for the final cohorts was yesterday. We continue to expand access because programs like Pathways provide individual support, including connecting participants with mentors to inform the individual development and coaching required to advance. Additionally, our employee resource groups are comprised of employees who are champions for change toward an inclusive and diverse work environment. The executive sponsors continue to lead and provide guidance to the co-chairs. And you'll hear more about our ERG Elevate program next week on March 22nd. Next slide, please.
So before you go on to the next slide, I think I heard you say earlier, we have 6 ERGs.
Yes.
And so are those are ground up, I assume, they're based off of employees come and say they want to start a group and so.
We can't hear the question, please.
Oh,
Sorry about
Can't hear
that.
anything.
I just
Okay.
asked her, I thought she mentioned that there were 6 ERGs and I was just trying to understand how those are created. If it's from the ground up, as employees come and say they want to start an ERG, how are they established here in NYPA?
So these are 6 employee-led groups.
Right.
They, in 2017, some of them were introduced at that time as employee resource groups, and others like Women in Power that existed before were repositioned and introduced and set up as employee resource groups.
So these are ones that were set up by you, I mean, by the
Office of
organization,
Rights.
as opposed to employees saying, here's a workforce that, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
We are exploring other options, Trustee McKibben.
Okay.
So next year, this time, we might have a different number.
You want them to be
share with you.
organic, right? And so that
Yes.
way people are committed to it because they care about the topic. And so, and then the other question I have is around the mentorship program, like how many people participate? And this, I assume you're bringing a senior leader at the organization, you partner them with someone at a lower level. How does it work and how many participate in our mentoring program? Those are an important instrument to use for helping in your DEI effort.
So I know Pathways had about 20 employees in that program, and 20 senior leaders. Carla also mentored those participants. And then there is the mentorship program. Can you help me out?
So the mentorship program that we've had in place for some time had about another 20. We did have to take a pause during COVID and we're ramping back up.
Okay.
So this past year we had, between the 2 programs, we had 41, I believe, mentees.
There's a current mentorship program now that's going to
Yes.
conclude in March or April.
April.
Thank you.
Next slide, Carly. Thank you. So this year, we're looking forward to continuing the progress. We're continuing to better understand who is in the room, and we're expanding the demographic survey. We continue to offer our Know Your Rights program, and our DEI dashboard is being incorporated and launched as part of a One HR consolidated dashboard, meant to house all of the different workforce metrics around the employee life cycle and to help leaders to do a deep dive on their department data. We'll continue to develop our employees through Pathways and Connected Leaders Academy, through our Employee Resource Group Elevate program. And also we'll have an enterprise-wide diversity month with the opportunity to engage and learn about various aspects of diversity. We know it's critical to bring our leaders along on our DEI journey. So this May, we're hosting a DEI executive briefing and training to level set and engage leaders in ensuring everyone feels included and knows they belong. The briefing will equip our leaders as active partners in our DEI journey. And that's what I have for you for 2023. I'll pass the mic to my colleague in Supply Diversity to continue to share how we're working together to bring DEI to life at NYPA and Canal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Good morning, board members, NYPA leadership, and members of the public. My name is Eric Alemany. I am the Senior Director of Supplier Relationship Management for the authority. And I appreciate the opportunity to provide an update on the supplier diversity efforts related to Tactic B. As we reflect on 2022, NYPA had a stellar year promoting and increasing awareness throughout New York State in support of Vision 2030. One, NYPA finalized its supplier diversity roadmap, outlining a strategy to engage local and diverse firms in their communities while increasing spend opportunities locally. There were 24 outreach events and educational events, which doubled the amount from the previous year. And they were hosted all throughout New York State. Part of those outreach events, we reached over 2,000 attendees. An example of that was our annual Supplier Diversity Expo, which was held virtually, but it was aimed at educating suppliers about the future opportunities in support of Vision 2030. Also, it supported business preparation programs, as well as gave a forum to help develop existing and new relationships, business relationships. Our message throughout the expo was reinforced with special guests, our Lieutenant Governor, as well as our very own Justin Driscoll. NYPA was also a key player at 2 of the state's annual conferences. 1, the MWBE Forum, and 2, VetCom, which is geared specifically for service-disabled veteran-owned businesses. Each of those were held up in Albany. Finally, NYPA was awarded the MWBE Champions Award last year for dedication to the New York State MWBE program and helping increase opportunities for MWBE businesses. That presentation of the award was done up in Albany. And again, we had the Chief Diversity Officer presented the award. And Justin, thank you again for your support. In 2022, NYPA launched 3 never before implemented supplier diversity programs aimed at different levels of maturity, of business maturity. 1, the small and local business educational and capacity building programs aimed at to engage businesses in early stages of growth throughout New York State, including within disadvantaged communities. 66 participants were involved statewide in virtual classes to help strengthen their businesses. The second one, the Surety Bond Training Program, was aimed at helping moderate level businesses gain access to capital, as well as back office preparedness. 65 participants graduated through the program. And I also want to recognize the fact that because of this program, an aggregate of $7.5 million of bonding, $1 million of bonding capacity was achieved through the cohorts. So they were able to leverage the extra bonding capacity to now compete on larger projects. Finally, for mature businesses, the Supplier Mentor Protege Program was aimed to scale up and scale out through mutually beneficial relationships between the prime and the diverse business. 3 mentor protege teams were coupled together where they were continuing relationships while the mentor also provided interest in recommitting for the next cohort. So definitely a lot of great opportunities on that end. In all 3 programs, suppliers have been onboarded in our systems right now, procurement systems, to A, grow our supplier network, but B, allowing them to compete, to participate in upcoming opportunities that is issued by NYPA and Canals. As we expand our awareness and educating diverse suppliers through our programs, we're finally seeing pre-pandemic numbers in supplier diversity spend, allowing us to reestablish the baseline. NYPA and Canals has achieved $172 million among local and New York State certified businesses. This includes both direct contracts as well as subcontracts. To increase awareness and access, NYPA has also partnered with Empire State Development Corporation. I know that this has been on a number of folks' mind. This just as a level set, Empire State Development Corp is the administrating body of the MWBE program and the certification program. So the Power Authority has been partnering with ESD to establish regional certification members to support the application process for future firms that are interested in becoming New York State certified. So we're working hand in hand with ESD on that end. Next slide.
Eric.
Yes, by all means.
So the 172, you seem to be, hedging that's now approaching pre-pandemic levels. So in terms of all of our efforts, are they starting to move the needle? How does the 172 compare? What's the trend there to prior years?
So to your point, Mr. Chairman, so we had committed earlier on as part of Vision 2030 to double our spend from 80 to 160 million. We've actually exceeded it for this year. So we are trending positively on this front, and we see the numbers growing from here.
It's important. You should capture that. You should put there that 2022, the prior year, and then the new year, so that we know you achieved it, as well as the numbers of participants. That numbers also important.
Perfect. Will do. Thank you.
Do we know offhand? So, and what percentage of our total spend is that? Obviously, we want to, create a larger slice of the pie here, not just have the rising tide, benefit there. Are we moving the needle on that? Do we have a comparison on what percentage the 172 is of the total spend versus what it's been historically?
Yes. So on average, we are doing about 22% of our eligible spend supporting the diverse businesses, and yes, we are trending upwards on that end.
And quantify upwards for me.
So last year we had a projection for our MWB eligible spend of 21%. So we're certainly going from last year's number to this year, we're at 22.
And okay, well, keep going then. All right.
So I have a question, Eric. And that has to do with the geography. What are your plans for expanding into other geographies within New York State to increase your audience of diverse suppliers?
Wonderful, wonderful statement. And actually, I was about to speak to that right now.
Okay.
All right,
So great segue. So with that, I believe we're on the second slide. So yes, NYPA has had a good start to 2023. To promote awareness, NYPA has held its annual Supplier Diversity Expo on March 1st here in White Plains. The event had over 700 registered attendees, both virtually as well as in person, including representation from the governor's office and NYPA's leadership. Justin, Adam, thank you so much, and others here in the room were present. We held workshops on NYPA and Canal opportunities and capacity building, facilitated business meetings among 6 industry sectors through our opportunity zones, scheduled MWBE and SDVOB certification help desks to kind of promote opportunities on that and to connect the certifying agencies with potential diverse firms to understand their application process. Hosted exhibitors including NYPA and Canal contractors, New York State agencies and authorities. And finally, we recognized 6 diverse businesses for their work with NYPA and Canals and presented them with the Diversity Champions of Excellence Award. Looking ahead, we are continuing to expand our statewide engagements. And yes, to your point, for example, in January, we held a Grow Your Business Career event at the Northland Workforce Development Center in Buffalo, partnering with local agencies and authorities. Our teams will also be in Rochester twice, but before the end of the year. We're actually participating in an event next Friday, and we're partnering with the city of Rochester on that end. And then finally, we're also going to be in North Country in April. So again, we're making sure that we're engaging businesses in the communities that they reside in the neighborhoods they are, and engaging diverse firms from that end. Those are only a fraction of some of the events that we have scheduled thus far in the next couple of months. And we're going to be continuing to do some of those outreach as the year progresses. Finally, NYPA is working on refreshing its external procurement website. So we're partnering with our corporate communications folks, so that way it becomes a year-end resource for supplier communication channels. So that's another outlet that we're going to be leveraging as well. NYPA continues to refine supplier diversity supportive programs by integrating lessons learned from the first cohorts that I mentioned in the previous slide. Therefore, we plan to graduate the 66 participants through the small and local educational capacity building program. This will be followed by commencing the second cohort. The application process is also underway for the second cohort for the surety bond program. And finally, applications are being accepted on a rolling basis for the second cohort of the mentor protege program. So really exciting that we have a lot of these programs available to help with capacity building. But with those, we continue to strategize on other ways to build capacity and competencies among diverse businesses so that they can be ready for the work that we're planning on doing among the energy and utility sector projects that we have as part of Vision 2030, like Connect All, Smart Path, offshore wind. Those are some examples that we want to make sure we're engaging diverse firms and get them ready for a lot of the work on that end. We're all, and one point I do want to mention, we're also supporting projects like the Indoor Food Project up in Buffalo, in collaboration with Lisa Wansley and her team, as well as Canisius College. This is another opportunity for us to engage local businesses to help support some of the work that is happening in their backyards. And so what I want to leave you here is through the continued leadership and guidance, we are seeking to increase, as you see, our supplier diversity utilization. We want to grow that number, to really engage suppliers. So we feel that with a lot of the outreach and as well as the programs, that we're right on the right track to kind of grow the supplier diversity spend and engage a lot of the local businesses and New York State certified firms. I want to take a moment to say thank you on behalf of John Canale and my SRM team. 2022 accomplishments and the strategy for 2023 could not have been achieved without the guidance and support of the board and the EMC. So at this time, I want to turn this over to Lisa Wansley to discuss environmental justice efforts in support of DEI.
So just one last point I wanted to make
Sure.
before you leave, because I do think it's important, the program that we have launched to educate about the process is extremely important. But I also do think that we want to be, aspirational and ambitious in terms of how do we get these participants in our program actual contracts with the state as well as with NYPA, and you should be tracking that. I think it's important for you to set a goal for yourself.
Absolutely.
You set a goal, you'll try to reach it. In addition, for what the ability to get contracts with NYPA as well as contracts around the state. And so I want to encourage you to start setting those numbers as opposed to just participants in our programs. Those are good, it's important, but also ultimately what we're trying to do is get people to be able to participate in contracts around the state. So
Agreed. Absolutely. Well, thank you.
Good morning. My name is Lisa Payne Wansley, and I'm the Senior Vice President of Environmental Justice, Community Legislative Relations at NYPA. 2022 was a very productive year for the EJ programs under the DEI initiative. We have 3 programs: Future Energy Leaders Scholarship Program, P-TECH, and our Environmental Justice Community Volunteer Corps. So for 2022, our Future Energy Leaders Scholarship Program, we did a competitive solicitation through SSM, and 5 industry and community organizations were qualified as scholarship administrative partners. So our scholarship partners going forward will be the American Association of Blacks in Energy, the Eagle Academy Foundation, the National Society of Black Engineers, the New York Urban League, and United Neighborhood Houses. And as reported to the trustees previously, 10 scholarships were awarded in May. As for the P-TECH program, in 2022, we expanded P-TECH partners to 6 schools. We now have partnerships in Energy Tech High School in Queens, Port Richmond High School in Staten Island, the Oneida, Herkimer, and Madison BOCES in Central New York, Niagara Falls High School, Be Solar High School in Buffalo, and Questar 3 BOCES in Albany. In the summer of 2022, 28 students completed a 6-week summer internship. Student projects included customer energy audits, internal cybersecurity awareness campaign, vegetation mapping, community distributed energy analysis, and smart streets lighting project. P-TECH students from the Smart Street Lighting Project made a formal presentation to Mayor Sheenan of Albany to brief her on the results of their analysis and their recommendations. The P-TECH Career Academy resumed in-person workshops. You remember during the pandemic, we went to virtual, and we completed a series of Professional Career Academy skill building workshops, which includes NYPA 101, career opportunities at NYPA and the electric energy industry, professional skills development. We do making presentations, interview, resume writing, and also developing financial literacy. In 2022, we also launched a new skills mapping exercise with our cybersecurity team, who are our subject matter experts, and curriculum collaboration with P-TECH partners as part of our DEI goal of building the workforce pipelines. As for our Environmental Justice Community Volunteer Corps, we're happy to report that we exceeded our 2022 goal of 6 events, and we did 7 statewide volunteer opportunities for our staff. 103 employees participated in a day of service with over 300 hours of volunteer hours donated. We also launched our our inaugural Employee Inspiration Challenge, where we asked NYPA employees to nominate local community projects for ideas for possible implementation by the community core. And we received 9 proposals from across NYPA, and the winning project was submitted by Casey Pelra from CEC, and they were fishing clinics for underserved youth, and we're going to do those next year. Next slide. Looking ahead, we're off to a great start. The Future Energy Leader Scholarship Program in January had sponsored a scholarship inaugural summit, where we brought the scholarship recipients and their families to White Plains for a 2-day summit. And the summit is a new enhancement to our program designed to foster more meaningful and supportive relationships with our scholarship winners and their families beyond the one-time financial award. It is part of the many ways we'll provide support to the students throughout their 4-year careers. Our objective is to provide the students with the opportunity to form relationships, build a strong cohort of students, and also build strong relationships with NYPA staff. The theme of the summit was building community. So out of the 20 students that we've awarded scholarships to, 14 of them participated from the class of 2021 and 2022. We had parents, we had family members, and guests. EJ staff and many of NYPA's professionals, including professionals of color, served as panelists, speakers, and mentors for the day. Our 2023 Future Energy Leader Scholarship was launched on March 9th. Final scholarship winners will be submitted to NYPA no later than May 12th, and we will schedule a virtual scholarship event in early June. And also, I want to remind everyone that next year, our amount of scholarships will increase to 20 scholarships, as we discussed in the original DEI plan. As for P-TECH, P-TECH is well positioned to meet its 2023 DEI goals with innovative solutions to new challenges. Discussions with potential P-TECH partners are currently underway. We're considering Brooklyn P-TECH, the Herkimer BOCES, and the Eagle Academy for Young Men in Harlem. We're submitting an RFP to the state for a new P-TECH site where we will develop the P-TECH program from the ground up. In 2023, P-TECH will increase the number of summer internships from 28 to 50 students. And more than 100 students are currently attending the Career Academy's 2022-23 fall to spring semester, and they're going to conclude their program next month. The skills mapping project with cybersecurity and the associated curriculum development in collaboration with the community college partners is also complete. As in past years, at the conclusion of their summer internship, students will make a final presentation to NYPA staff. And I want to extend an invitation to each of you to attend this in-person event at WPO here on August 17th, where the students will present their projects. Last year, the presentations were outstanding, and they demonstrated the breadth and the depth of their accomplishments and what they learned here at NYPA. At this point in my presentation, I want to give you a brief overview of one of the ways EJ is leveraging NYPA's resources and relationships to provide a meaningful career training experience for our P-TECH students. This coming summer, EJ will partner with one of NYPA's MWBE suppliers, Mason Deave, an architectural and engineering consulting firm based in White Plains. This collaboration will be essential in helping us meet our P-TECH and DEI goals. Mason Deave will provide energy audit training to 20 students over their 6-week internship. After the training, the students will conduct energy audits of select Recharge New York customers located in Alemany under the supervision of Mason Deave. The audits will provide data regarding energy consumption in customer facilities and also include specific actions they can take to improve energy efficiency. The audit will benefit P-TECH students by providing the opportunity to apply their acquired skills to NYPA customers in real time. And it's one of the best examples I can think of to demonstrate how NYPA's P-TECH model works and is yielding measurable results. The collaboration between P-TECH students, supply diversity, and NYPA customers exemplifies the intersectionality between EJ and supply diversity in achieving NYPA's global DEI goals. Not only will our students learn a skill that is highly marketable in the green economy, but this approach represents a win for EJ, supply diversity, and P-TECH and our customers. The Community Volunteer Corps in 2023, volunteer opportunities will expand to include staff at the Flynn Power Plant and the Albany office, allowing them to participate in projects with local community partners. EJ will continue its collaboration with New York State Canal Corporation on 3 volunteer events, which will be exclusively for Canal employees. Our next community corporate event will be held in Brentwood on March 23rd in collaboration with a new EJ partner, the Sisters of St. Joseph, who were recipients of trees through our Tree Power program. Volunteers will engage in activities to help convert a small part of an unused forest area to grow fruits and vegetables. This is part of the Sisters of St. Joseph's overall climate change response that includes sequestration of carbon, stormwater capture, promotion of biodiversity, and the creation of a community foraging space. In 2023, we are also increasing the total number of volunteer opportunities to 10 statewide events. Finally, EJ will launch those 3 fishing clinics as suggested by the winner of our Inspiration Challenge. These fishing clinics for underserved youth will begin in May. With the support from New York State DEC, we will collaborate with local schools and community groups. And locations for the clinics are Messina's Visitor Center, Syracuse Lock 23, and Niagara Falls at Hyde Park. So if there are any questions, I thank you for giving us this opportunity to update you on our wonderful 3 initiatives under the DEI plan.
I mean, you're doing really important work here. My sense is that you should be able to do more. I don't know what's your sense of like how you feel about the work that you're doing. I mean, I see the numbers and obviously the introduction of young people to this space is so important, and giving them real life experience of, you know, how to do what we do. But can you just give me a sense of how you feel about in terms of what you want to achieve and what we're actually being able to achieve with this kind of program?
Well, you know, these 3 initiatives are part of a larger environmental justice program, which I briefed the trustees on in December. And it's a great complement to what we're already doing in terms of STEM and community outreach. I would love for us to be able to do more in the area of workforce development and really, closing the loop with the pipeline issue. But of course, that takes time. We have students now who are freshmen and sophomores in our scholarship program. We're bringing on to the next step, and they're all doing quite well, by the way. So I think that as we mature and as we grow, we will look for opportunities to kind of close that pipeline and hopefully have opportunities for the scholarship recipients to receive internships or, once they graduate to, go into the pool of candidates we have for jobs. But, that's all in the future. Mhm.
So Lisa, you're telling me that you're at 100% retention of your scholarship recipients?
The scholarship recipients, out of the 20 students that received scholarships, 19 are continuing and are doing well in school. We had one student drop out from the first class.
Excellent.
And unfortunately, based on family situation was the reason for the dropout. Yeah.
Well, as a professional in continuing adult education, once the seed is planted, they always come back. So.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And we're still in touch with the student, trying to encourage her to come back.
Excellent. Thank you all. Thank you for the good work. Are there any more questions, Michael, Dennis, John?
No?
No questions.
No questions. Okay. So that brings us, this was an informational report, so there was no vote required. We're ready to move on to the consent agenda. I apologize again for not receiving your email, Tracy. You had some very good points to make. My sense is that we consider voting on the consent agenda with the understanding that we get follow-up on several issues to include more details on the strategic plan, to include an alignment of titles, to include summaries of the policy changes. Did I miss anything, Tracy? From your
No,
list
that's
of,
perfect. Yes.
so is there any other discussion on that before I ask for a motion to adopt?
I'll move it.
I'll
So
second.
moved.
Thank you. So we have a motion to adopt the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank
Aye.
you.
And again, B, we'll get that follow-up ahead of next week's board meeting
Absolutely.
when we otherwise will approve it, okay?
Okay, thank
Does that
you.
work? Does that work, Justin and team?
Yes, yes, that works, Chairman.
Okay,
Thank you. So the motion carries with the understanding that the follow-up will be available to us by next week. I guess I'm at the end of my agenda here. The next meeting of the Joint Governance Committee is scheduled to be held on October 10th. With that said, is there a motion to close the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So motion carries. Thank you, everyone, for your hard work and commitment to NYPA and canals. And I'll see you all next week.
thanks very
Thank
much,
you.
B.